57 the BDS, which I think is honest, very close, probably closer than what it should be, to be honest. But right, let's set the precipice.
Yeah, break it
By
down.
all accords, BDS walk in here and they should win today.
Yes.
BDS have been top tier side. EFAC's worked the charm. The team's back. G2, same old problems as what they've had last split, and honestly a little bit in the split before, I suppose. You know, they've struggled finding what kind of team they are. However, because it's G2, there's always something about this game that can just go horribly wrong for BDS. I don't know what it is. I think we've seen it against Wolves. Whenever G2, and even against MNM, whenever G2 are supposed to win games, all of a sudden they win. It's so weird the way this team works. I can't explain it.
It's the strange idea, because we always talk about expectation. You talk about how a team goes into a game expecting themselves to win, or whether we expect them to win or lose or not. And G2, it's never been really easy to gauge, because for a lot of people, a lot of times, there's expectations for them to win or lose, and it doesn't seem to not just change our predictions, but how the players seem to approach the game.
Look, on paper, G2 should, by all accords, be the top-tier team that we've ever produced. On paper.
Yeah,
okay? On paper. And that's what we said at the start of the year. On paper, it's unbelievable. It didn't work. It didn't work on paper. They made another change. Blur comes into the lineup. Again, on paper, you'd say, again, it was always on paper, it has to be an upgrade on Prano, because you've got somebody who's better mechanical gun skill. We've seen Prano was lacking in that department. It was proven in the stats.
Yeah.
It has to work on paper. Guess what? Hasn't worked on paper. It has not worked.
On paper.
Yes, and that's all we had to go off was paper. Yes, it's the book of G2. They still have the potential. It's similar to what we look at MNM. MNM are a young side that we know on their day can be incredible, can be unbelievable. G2 are basically more of the finished product, because you've got players here who have been there, who have done that. You've got players here who have won championships, for goodness sake, which is what you can't say the same. Well, you can say one player in MNM has done that, but the other ones haven't. You know, Doki, Citizen, winning championships, Alamo, major winner. Virtue, the Australian Opens count, I don't know. I don't know.
Dev Martyr is fuming somewhere. What might count here, as they alluded to on the desk, this is the first time we're going to have Skyscraper here in this split, in this region at least. It's sort of remained a bit hidden, but to be honest, G2 have taken us to maps that maybe were a surprise to them before, just as much as they were to us. And that was where they beat the previous other French team that they're able to take a win on theme against Wolves. So, BDS, will you be the third team that, well, on paper, apparently that's being entirely torn up today. Both Rogue and Heroic lost, and on card, maybe they were the ones that should be winning here. Fresher starts over onto the side. This side, obviously, the karaoke, and that starts with Geisha.
So, we're going to have a split push, essentially, from G2. You've got two teams working in motion. You have the backstairs team, which is going to consist of Virtue and also Blur and the Ossa, and they're looking to be the main pushing force into the site. They're primarily trying to get themselves inside of karaoke. BDS, they have not made a karaoke rotate, which does create some issues for G2. It means that they're going to have to try and open it themselves. They should be able to do that. They have Virtue. Blur does get shot in the foot, but can place down the Ossa shield. This is a great position. They have established control of that area. There's the second team doing work. You've got Doki and you've got Alamo going on the south side, moving in towards Kitchen, opening up Geisha Wall. They're trying to suffocate BDS. They're making sure that BDS cannot move, and they're trying to complement that with Citizen, who's the odd man out. He's moving in with the nades from below.
Shaka wants to try and find a response. They're going to see if they can get a body back to throw. The drone does not quite get the reveal of the man on the hatch, and that is the perfect time for him to do this. Takes the early kill, swings his way around, gets the drone on the back end, and suddenly BDS, well, they've gotten themselves a little bit of territory back that G2 has to be aware of. They're going to have to try and dig out this fight first. You can see Citizen, as you said, is by himself on this run on the supply line, and well, now he's not even in the server. Shaiko, he's able to take the win out of that fight. The pressure on the site, still trying to just draw some attention away. They've got to try and put the pedal to the metal here. They're charging their way through. The plant just sucked on the corner of the hard wall. Is there an awareness? The C4 doesn't catch it, but the spray sure does. Playday still in a position to get that from the swing round on Geisha that was not controlled, and well, now the kit's in Narnia and they can just watch from a distance.
Oh, G2. It was a nice attempt, but you're missing that crucial Geisha control. And now G2, they're in Narnia. They have no idea what to do. I mean, BDS just have to hold their crossfires. They have the man advantage. It should be no issues from them. But if they start getting away kills like this, oh my goodness, just about Alamo gets the kill from below. They get one back 20 seconds to go, but it's not looking good,
No, and there's one more off the board. The swing of the Ossa Shield's not quite come together. You might have Candelas in your pocket and a hard breach, but there's not much you can do without trying to find your fight through all the BDS players. 10 seconds, and they knew where you were. BDS claw back after a first body goes against them. They made sure all of the rest fell in front.
So, G2, it was a good attempt. The structure looked good. The early game, they done well. They established their two teams. They opened up Geisha. They had that team come in with the Ossa Shield. They set up that control where you can shut down anyone crossing in towards Karaoke. The issue was Alamau was over towards Geisha, and then he rotated to Karaoke window. Nothing wrong with that. I suppose put the Ying in a position where she can get the Candelas rolling in, can create a bit of chaos, can cover in the window. But what G2 forgot to do was then rotate somebody else to Geisha side. That was where they suffered, because they gave free Geisha towards BDS. Shaiko, of course, dropped in. There was no refry because Citizen was kind of segregated away from Doki. And then as soon as you lose that Geisha control, there's no way you're going to be able to plant in towards Karaoke. It was a nice attempt, swinging in, using the shield to run across, give yourself that bit of cover, and then plant inside of Karaoke. They had Virtue covering the long angle, they had somebody in the window, but without the Geisha control, we've seen what happened. All that has to happen is that wall be opened up, and then the diffuser's done. That was it. They missed their Geisha control. That was the crucial part. You need to take that map, or that side of the map.
If you missed it there during that, BDS need 1 point from this game to get themselves locked in and solidified for the upcoming major. Obviously, they want to try and take as many as possible. You're against a team and you can really put a difference in, especially with the blows that Heroic and Heroic have taken earlier on today. BDS, you could start to affirm yourself as that top seed once upon a time. The Wolves are still yet to play, but I'm sure you'll be happy with a French flag at the top. G2 in the meantime, they're going to do their best to try and bite back. A quick take there, the swing onto the VIP wall. It's pretty easy now to get itself broken open, but that's why you have this. The Aruni gate forces any of that swing to have to be a lot slower instead of just barreling your way through.
So at the moment for G2, happy enough just to probe and get these walls opened. Whenever you're dealing with this office, it's generally a site that has turned into a bit of a roam fiesta, because trying to sit in sight in this bomb site is an issue. Whenever walls start to get opened up, there isn't really any safe positions. Combo that with a majority of it being able to be naded from below, you do not have a lot of safe space that you can really play in towards. So you will start to see teams extend in towards Drum, in towards Dragon, and G2 are doing a good job at acknowledging that. They've set up the crossfires, they set up the cutoffs for the flank, and, well, BDS, they've lost Shaiko.
That's it, they lose him in that position. A Bandit was a second too late to the wall. They do still have player presence underneath as well, BDS. They have a chance to go for one of the couple of rotates, but it's Dragon that might be the next fight. Licky-Fack is the one just holding on to the angle, hoping that as soon as somebody takes too heavy a step through, they can get it popped open. But G2, they're doing some reconnaissance this time. As you said before, they sort of went in with not enough under their belts and covered.
Do the basics. Do the drones.
Get it done.
That's what you need to do. That's one thing that we've talked about G2 is some of the basics.
Well, there's the first basic gone. Blur taken off by Licky-Fack, but they're going to still try and put the pressure onto the site itself. They've got themselves very much tucked in here around the sort of Dragon cutoff that cuts itself off all the way through. Alamau couldn't quite get the angle. Alems sure does. Has just that safety over the side of Dragon. As I said, the swing falls into their favor, and you can see once again G2, they're trying to sort of strong arm their way through onto the site itself, but it's becoming a bit of a blind.
Literally a blind as the flashbacks miss the door. Citizen gets rinsed from the drone hole from Renshi. Oh, brilliant from Renshi, though, it has to be said, to get that pick. And now G2, the setup looked really good, but they've just stalled out. I thought they'd done exceptionally well with cutting off Shaiko, but from this position, I just don't think they're going to get anything from it.
Well, they get even less. Alems is able to get a second through the hole opened on the breach. Virtue suddenly stuck. Not for very long. BDS, they sort of took the approach and buffed it immediately back as soon as the pressure hit the side again.
G2 and their structure setting up looks good. It does look good. They're doing the things that they need to do. Open up the single wall. Then you start to move in, hold off the roamers. You've done that with Shaiko. And then as soon as things are going well for G2, something happens. There's just a little, it's as if they've torn a hamstring. That's what it feels like. You've got the 60th minute mark and then bang, you're out.
Defenders, protect your
I don't know. It seems
we're on round 2. You can't lose yourself this early.
Just the reason why I have these meltdowns, and I think I've got it down, is I think so highly of so many teams.
You do.
That's why I think, because I've seen so many teams be unbelievable, be goddamn brilliant. I'm sitting there thinking, wow, they are genius. They are Einsteins.
They're the ones that make you excited about the game.
Yeah, and then whenever they do something that I just, how have you done that? That's whenever I just, I lose it because I expect so much. And the same with G2. I thought this team at Berlin Major put in one heck of a shift. I think they proved how good they can be against international opponents.
Against their own impressions of how they would do as well.
And they've always struggled against domestic teams. But international, that's where this team flourishes. And it's just, we've seen how they played at Berlin, and I really thought after Berlin, where they made this 5% run, they'd done it. Wow, unbelievable, bloody brilliant, quarterfinals, all that jazz. Surely they come into this stage with the brand new pickup. They're going to be hot dog. Hot dog in the other context, I suppose, is where they're heading up now, but you know what I mean? That's what I thought it was going to be.
Well, they're going to be, once again, trying their approach here on the top corner onto Exhibition. They're going to see if they can try and root out the loose player. Because you said before, they did it quite well onto Shaiko. This time it's Likefak that might be the first to meet the end of a gun barrel, and the 9mm and how trusty it can be. You might see if he can just slip away rather than get himself into an engagement. There wasn't anyone to quite catch them off. And Shiro
drop off.
Does almost get caught. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
No, don't worry.
I'm worried.
It's been a while. It's been a while since me and Flick have been here. Sometimes I say a one word or like two word, just jump in.
Do I have to pretend to be Ollie?
I'm pretty sure Ollie he doesn't even hear me.
No,
I think that's why he doesn't hear me. You do. You want.
I'm as attentive to you as they are to the drones that's coming through. But Alaman's going to see if he can move on the back of it now. The pressure onto Geisha pops his way through. Shaiko's trying to find a fight, but he can't quite get it either side. There's one at the top of the black door as well. But Shaiko, he's still standing, and G2, they haven't quite been able to formulate a full bite.
It's taken them 30 seconds just to realize that, hey, Dragon and all that is clear. It's been clear for ages. BDS had a very early drop-off, but G2 have taken their sweet time to actually move into these positions, so a little bit slow from G2's angle. Shaiko and EFAC fine too. Down goes Blur, down goes Virtue. The backline is in the bin. But let's see if the front line can do the business. I mean, G2, they, of course, have control of Exhibition. You can maybe try and move in to try and open up that double wall on T-Room. Alamau has to make a big play. He's entered in where Virtue was. This is where he suffered a loss. And Shaiko has the swing, and Alamau almost walks into another crossfire. This is treacherous right now from G2. They put 1 foot out of place, and BDS will punish them.
I think you have to look at how the approach came together here. At first, G2 had all the angles, and Doki's able to at least take one back by beating the drum. But will this creep come round? No, is the answer. EFAC from underneath as Doki getting most of the revenge, but not quite the end. It's Alamau that goes down in the engagement. Doki suddenly the only one left standing. There's a tuck round on the corner. There's the pressure of the players, and he's instead going to see if he can spray through the soft a little too wide and can't quite get it.
A trade.
Oh, a trade out there at the end. It was a bit better in the mid to late game, but the early was the first one to go away from G2 this time.
Whenever you're dealing with that kitchen barbecue and you see that teams have forfeited early control of the majority of the map, you need to get in there quick. It's all about time management. I just feel that G2, they took, 30 seconds to actually realize that, hey, Dragon is clear, we can push in, we can try and take drum control. That was the thing for me that kind of stuck out, was just their time management. It wasn't quick enough to get them into position. You still have to clear out the upstairs. I think losing, was it Virtue in the window, or was it Blur? Well, I think it was Blur in the window. Losing that player doesn't help, because I think you're kind of relying on him to create the cutoffs, because whenever you start the pressure in towards drum, you don't want Geisha. Shaiko is going to try and rotate elsewhere. That's where the man in the window can be so valuable a lot of the time. So I think losing these individual picks has not helped, but you have to give credit to BDS. It may sound very biased towards G2. I understand that. I understand that. But I think it's more of the case of, we expect this from BDS. This is just week in, week out. This is a performance. You know,
that's the thing.
It's incredible siege, but we're used to that.
Yeah, we've sort of seen this BDS with the addition of EFAC, with that sort of change in the roster. It's brought...
You're telling me BDS is winning? No. There's no way BDS are winning. It can't be.
I think, how many people in the talent predicted G2?
I mean, I didn't.
And if you didn't, I don't think anyone did, unless it was fresh going, well, everyone's predicted one. I'm going to predict the other. Spoiler alert, sometimes analysts take risky picks on purpose just to have conversation. Mainly because they're lonely. They have no one else to talk to. The pressure starts underneath. Karaoke, they're going to see if they can maybe potentially get a bit of a different bit of control here. Instead of throwing themselves in behind the back of an Ossa, instead, they're going to see if they can send the Twitch in first. There is some eyes coming towards Geisha and the player that actually tore pretty much everything apart last time.
Shaiko in that position just gave them a headache. As they just playing on that think it's called is Wood, I believe, is the call-out of choice for the professionals. I think so. Just this position here from Shaiko. He can swing onto the Black Stairs door. He can swing on, of course, that single window. And does almost get pre-fired. So G2 are aware of that position. Alamau appears, finds two. It's one thing that he has been very handy in a pinch where he can just appear with these double kills.
Oh, and there's a bit of a bite back, but Alamau's already done a lot of busy work. We can hear the Candelas popping onto the site itself. They swing in. Shaiko's going to see if he can stop it, but one more Candela swung around the corner. Can't quite get the catch. They can still go for the fight. Tucked round on the hard wall. The pop of a smoke and the take of Blur. He was watching and waiting. Alems is doing the same, and the kit goes cold. In the middle of the site, EFAC with the shotgun, and Alems with a backline gets a scrappy take. Suddenly it's 2 versus 2, and these 2 remaining players at the top of Black Stairs trying to fight their way over this massive no man's land that sort of careened itself. But Alems on the drone, he's getting those ready in position.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of pressure on EFAC just to basically stay alive. He needs to almost protect Alems in this scenario because he has the echo cams. He can stall out the round as best as he can. He does have both of them alive, I'm pretty sure. G2 now will go in for the drones. They should be able to spot out the echo. I mean, they know the echo's there because they just lost somebody to it, but they did not know about the second player, but now they do. Main Stairs is the position of choice, and Citizen is looking to aggro onto that.
Well, that's it. They got to see if they can try and just force a fight here. They know that there's time to play against it. The kit's picked back up, but Citizen's not happy with where he stopped, and both these players are still looking for their first kill on the side of G2. Oh, everything is being watched and called. EFAC's going to try and swing behind it, moves out the way of the grenade, and right into the bullets. Citizen is taken care of. Virtue suddenly all that's left, and well, Lems, he's still playing this from the top down. He's the one you call him for Overwatch. And EFAC's the one that locks it out. 4 rounds in a row for BDS.
G2, that was a 2v4.
I'm still up as well. That one was entirely uncontested inside the site and karaoke itself. The other was sitting pretty around gold. I think where Alems left it, yeah, they were happy to sort of sit back. Don't get me wrong, when they're in the 2 versus 2, they shouldn't be in, but they're in that situation and they're trying to isolate the kill. It makes sense. They got the kit back and then tried to keep pushing. They had an idea on where they were, but it didn't quite come together.
I have to question Virtue as well in that 2v2. What was he really doing?
True.
What was he doing? He knows the Echo's in drum. Echo's never going to be swinging into long, which is what he is trying to hold.
Yep.
You've got then EFAC, who's just behind a reinforced wall. That's all EFAC is doing, is behind a reinforced wall. He is leaving Citizen in a 1v1. Why not push down? You know the Echo's going to be on cams. You know for a fact the Echo's not going to be moving from his position. Go and help Citizen. Take the 1v2s. Take the trades. Go for it. Because he's just doing nothing in that scenario.
Well, doing something is Shaiko and EFAC, both of them now in a race. There's sort of been conversation about who's going to be the one getting their teeth into most of these games in terms of frag, and both of them are pretty happy to take big bites out of G2. In the meantime, G2 players still haven't quite been able to connect with a gun game where it's kind of more important in this than many others when you know that all 10 players can be firing. Alamau takes a scrap of damage as he's just popping open that and trying to hold off from Bay with the first E1D. They're going for the same breaks and breaches they had before.
I would like to see them go a little bit more direct on the site, to be honest. I think they can certainly do that. You may be thinking, oh, the double wall is going to be tricky with the bandit trick. You can nade him from below. It's not a big issue if you're G2. And there's Shaiko again, just swinging it. He's having
a whale of a time.
It's just him, isn't it? It's just, this is it. This is Shaiko. This is him in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things about how he likes to go against this team is aggressively. But will he be able to try and find his way out throughout the rest of this? You can see G2, they're steadily trying to force a bit more of the utility play. The mute jammer is just going to stop that breach. The pocket EMP was on the wrong corner if you're wondering why that couldn't quite get it. The radius is very small. That one sure was on the right side, and Selma should pop and at least get the bit of destruction there on the swing round. There it is. That wall becomes a little bit more dangerous, but still not entirely unplayable.
Nah.
Good grief.
Just...
You're right, Demo. This is another check-in.
He must have heard me when I said, oh, EFAC, he's the new Shaiko.
I've heard you say that many times.
No, well, not today.
Shaiko is still the old Shaiko.
It's still his team. That's what he's saying. It's still his team.
Wow. Can they try and keep this as their game? That's the question now. A minute 10. They're going to go for the turn of the half.
One thing BDS have done so well at is giving G2 nothing. They're not even giving them a scrap. BDS are so static in their positions. They're just... Sometimes I do say static is not good. You need to get out and about.
Yep.
For a map like Skyscraper, where you will get shut down on the cutoffs, the best thing to do is just sit still, play the crossfires in your own team, and let the attackers push you. I know it's a risky play, but at the moment against a team like G2, who you know they have a couple of blunders in them, it's going to have an effect.
You can still see the G2 are trying to work out exactly how to try and approach this. They think they've got Playday locked off enough. They can try and get the site wall open, but Shaiko has different ideas. Swings out and gets the first. Citizen is looking for the fight on a second right underneath, but it's EFAC. He's rotating his way back up. The position is slightly given away by the gunfire. He thinks he's at the bottom of the stairs. I think he's about to learn. Otherwise, swings right up into the player as Shaiko takes huge amounts of damage. Virtue, he's driving into the site, but he's entirely rebuffed. It's suddenly just Blur versus the world. He got the breach open, but it's apparently a little bit dangerous. So instead of getting a face full of explosives, he's going to see if he can at least try and take one out on the way out the door. But even after the tack timeout, we're looking at a flawless and 5 in a row.
Outclassed today. G2, 5 rounds in a row lost. Just hasn't been good today. Has not been good today. G2, I think they have these tendencies where they can let the heads drop. That's now where I look. It's not about the siege, it's about the mental game.
Yep.
It's just, this is the thing with G2. I feel as if G2, every time they've went basic siege, they have done really, really well. Now they pull out a Skyscraper. And they're trying to do these intricate trap and cut-offs. We haven't seen a single direct wall being opened up. You know, we see that bomb site, for example. You can win that by opening up double wall, opening up the single wall, play somebody else in a window, and then just pressuring out the players on the site because they have nowhere to run, they have nowhere to hide. And you can play minimalistic on Skyscraper. You don't have to go for these cutoffs over towards drum. You know, what's a drum player going to do for you pushing into office?
Beat it.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's G2, basic stuff. You know, they've been trying to, you know, instead of going for the atypical, oh, we're going to walk in towards the karaoke and T bomb site, we're going to do a roam clear, then we're going to open up the T, and we're going to plant gold. Nice and simple, nice and easy. Even the black stairs, I think that was a good take for the black stairs, but then they throw in a Ying on karaoke window instead of playing it safe, play the Gown Geisha, try and look just to walk into karaoke, very default, you have the Osa shields. Just the way it is for me at the moment with G2, but never say never.
Renchi took out the drone. Never say never. Quite proven there. It took a little bit of ring around the rosies, and well, it's one more off the board for G2 here, and BDS made sure of it. But as he said, if they're not letting G2 be safe, not even the drones are going to be safe on this. The approach barbecue is where we're going to see if they can try and double it down. I mean, a 6-0 half puts a bit of worry on here, but Alems, he's ready to play this against the ex-Kairos. They're concerned about this, and Shaiko is offering all of the support. He just has to pop it, but Shaiko gets popped instead.
And this is what I don't want to see from BDS now, is then giving scraps to G2. I've mentioned how good BDS have been. There's the bandit trick was expected. BDS have been great at giving G2 nothing. G2 have had all the pressure piled onto their shoulders. If you start alleviating that pressure by eliminating players like Shaiko just right off the rip, that's going to give G2 a bit of confidence. And keep in mind, I've said it before, yes, G2, they have not been playing Greatest of Siege. We know that they still have it in them.
Oh, yeah,
We know they can still have it in them.
It's having it in them on the day. Something that I've heard somebody say a few times.
I hate you and Ollie so
Alems
much.
holding on to see if he can try and hold on against Blur, who's actually had to drop off. So much ex-Kairos was lost, and we saw his own drone roll in a split second later. It sat there for a long period of time, but it also takes a long period of time to pop off, so it was more than enough time. Alamau suffers a bit of a scrape from above, and he just has no real idea. EFAC wants to try and hunt the kill and chase the last one. There's a player just tucked on the window behind him, though, that seemingly has no idea. EFAC, does he know? Not that side, EFAC, but he's still going to tuck in and wait for this. The movement hears him. He's so ready to spring, but Alamau slips and slinks away.
EFAC could honestly be trapped in bathroom here for a moment, because if he tries to rotate out of restaurant, Alamau in that window cut off now in the bottom black stairs is going to be able to stop him. Alamau's going to actually swing in and go for it. EFAC, does he know that? It feels as if he does, because he has rotated out of bathroom and looking to challenge onto that angle, but G2 have no interest in actual bottom floor. Instead, they're looking to establish top floor control.
Yeah, Alamau took some scrapes of damage heading up the black stairs, but you're looking at 40 seconds and they're still just trying to formulate the drive towards the player. The first is gone. Alems takes care of Blur and most of Doki in a swing round. He's still doing all of the busy body work up here in Geisha, and then he's removed by the twitch that came around on the back end. They've been able to take some semblance of this, the vertical control, but the site is still down and they've got to try and force out these remaining players, some of them in positions and watched by bulletproofs that you just don't entirely know about. Alamau scrapes and slivers of health through the bars of barbecue just to try and get a little bit of the freshly cooked Brazilian player on the far end, but it's the legs of Playday that give him away. Doki's got one more. It's just EFAC versus the world. He's not quite able to get it out. G2, they have a breath and one round for the half.
Yep, finally, we get G2 on the board. It was a better clear out against Shaiko, I think, giving away that early pick. For what reason, I don't know. And I think that just gives G2 that extra bit of confidence. Still very, very slow from G2. I will admit, I think that they need to, again, still pick up that pace because you're still sat there with 10 seconds to go, and, you know, EFAC's alive in a good position to almost hold, you know, two angles at once, and, you know, things could have gone wrong there. Things definitely could have gone wrong there. I think Virtue had a great pick, playing off that information that Alamau had gained from above, being able to know, okay, one's 100% inside of barbecue, we know we have him trapped, I have to push down, I have to make that kill. Just, you know, little things still. There's the probability, 2%.
Little things.
Overtime loss now is actually 100%.
Yeah, they need 1 point from this game. They get one more round, my friends. BDS makes it. And
G2 are done also.
G2 are done.
Oh, don't tell me we're going to have a 7-5 fiasco.
Again?
I was going to say I'll make a bet.
You're gonna,
I'm going to do a Fresh.
Do you know Fresh? You interact with him quite a lot.
I can't do it.
How many of his bets have gone against him?
Like, you're telling me G2 have to win 6 rounds. G2 wins 6 rounds in a row on defense against BDS.
On Skyscraper.
That seems, you know, surely not. And I could make a bet and I could say, oh, look how confident I am, I'll make a bet, I'll make a silly bet. But knowing me and knowing G2, I will then have to do the bet. How
do you think you'd look with pink hair?
Honestly, that's why I'm not doing it, because I don't have enough gusto and confidence, because G2, you know, is it more of a case of they've let me down in the past, but then it also feels as if they're going to, like, let me down, but in a good way, if that makes sense. They're going to win, but then I'm also be letting down.
Yeah. I wouldn't risk it.
I hate games like this because I just feel ill. I feel ill. Because it's 5-1, but there's still something. There's still something. You may think he's delusional. And I very well might be delusional. I understand. Maybe that is what it is. That's the feeling I have, is delusion.
That's sports fans. Well, he's taking breath, and so is this approach. BDS, they're getting themselves stacked up here. Maybe going to try and do a bit of a quick drive. The pocket EMP is once again able to get a bit of a pop-off. That one's a little bit more direct. Blur, he's under a lot of fire from the position that he was able to put it on from the other side and just hot-foots it out of there.
Immediately look at the difference between the two teams. We've seen G2 struggle with a bandit trick on Geisha. BDS, Sophia stun, no problem at all. Doesn't that kind of sum up the differences between the teams? Just how separate they are from one another?
That is it, and the drive is going to be one that apparently looks like it might angle towards the bottom of black stairs here. The swing against the barb, they're being droned ahead, and EFAC is more than happy to take this kind of fight. There's the first reveal. Alamau, how aware are you? Well, they're about to probably find out. This grenade just tucked underneath the breach behind the shield. Doesn't quite get it, but Alamau is kind of raring to swing the corner with the pop of the shotgun. Doesn't quite get it, but it's Virtue instead that loses out against... No, Doki even loses out on the back of it. Against Shaiko at the top of black, Virtue took some damage, potentially from the opposite window. The swing round. There's Alamau at least getting some revenge, ready to get a second. The only thing he sees is the end of a smoke canister, very well pre-placed before to stop the push.
Alamau's doing great, stalling out the round for BDS, picking up a kill as well. It's actually forced Renshi away from the staircase. He now realizes that it's not going to work. We have the smoke up against them with the shotgun. We're never going to break through that. We have to look for other alternatives, which is probably where G2 want them to flood into. You have a nice duo ship over towards Drum and Dragon side. Virtue even has that rotate. Oh, gets himself into a slippy position. If that goes misdroned, that could be an issue for BDS. And we talked about G2 and them stalling out BDS now. Look at them, where are they going? They don't really know what they want to do.
It's always the big problem with Skyscraper is that it is technical, it's new, and it's still not really had its teeth properly tested by a lot of these teams. You're trying to work things out on the fly as you fly through it, and here BDS are the ones that are suffering the other side of that. Alamau locks out another. LM's taken off the top of black, and 15 seconds. BDS just got to try and hot-foot it. There's Blur, but Playday does find finally the kill on the top of black stairs. EFAC wants to root his way through past Drum, can't find it, and Playday, well, he's going to do what Playday does. Hold F, stick it on the floor until he's removed from the board. G2, second round in a row, either side of the half.
better from G2. Alamau played well, played it very, very well, known when to go for the aggro, known when to hold back, used the smokes very well, just whenever he sensed he was in danger, tosses it out, gives him a bit of control. BDS, you have to wonder, how can they not deal with a simple shield? How? Just one shield. They get rid of that. Alamau cannot play in that position, you then alleviate that pressure, and you have a bit more control of the map.
Defenders, protect your bomb.
BDS, 1 round still separates them from the chance at the major. They have 4 swings, same thing of G2, but the other reverse side. 2%, I mean, there's still a chance. 0% G2 fans, I'm sorry to say, even with my knowledge of statistics, it's over, it's done.
Leave us alone.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Do you want a support group?
Leave me and Jack alone. Me and Jack, we love this team. Why are you belittling them?
Well, Fresh, I mean, you know, he's actually quite surprised he's been drawn into this argument.
It's all an act,
Fresh
by the
loves
way.
Siege.
But it's all an act. This whole hating G2 thing.
Listen.
Oh, look at me. I criticize. I'm from Hull. Oh, I hate G2.
Is that
It's all an act. He loves G2. He loves it.
All right. I don't know why you're trying to do PR work for a man who frequently loses bets to dye his hair color.
Well, so does he want to make a bet by chance? Fresh, if G2 wins 7-5, what we saying?
He shrugged.
He shrugged. He doesn't want none of this smoke because he knows it's going to come true.
All right, BDS. Let's see if we can try and get a little bit more on the second act of what was a good first. You're able to get a very quick drive, but now your nemesis, a shield, has been put down just on the swing here around onto Dragon.
This will be my mightiest opponent yet. A shield.
It's going to be the toughest one to pull apart. And as I said before, this is how you'll see this
Great
wall
bandit
open.
trick.
But
Wow.
wow. He's on an island, and it's just enough.
Renchi thought, oh, I have it covered, I can impact below, no problems at all, but Blur just slips in like a snake.
I mean, he's able to do it a second time as well. Both times he's popped off, they didn't quite have anybody to stop it.
They tried to Habana the bandit charge from below, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that.
It's just... I mean, it's a very dangerous wall to still be locked. It's a very well-played bit of utility. Obviously, Blur's had a bit of a battle with that before. There's a quicker way to get rid of a shield. Doki suffers on the way back out quite...
Oh, I like this pause. I like this pause because if he can set up a crossfire with somebody inside of Terrace, Doki cannot be swung without Alamau being able to have a clear shot onto the opponent, and also the opponent will have his back turned to Alamau. So this could be a very deadly crossfire if these two players can communicate well. I do like that a lot. Even if he gets droned, I mean, still Doki, as soon as he gets droned, Doki will be dead, but it all comes down to Alamau. A great crossfire! That's better from G2.
Now they are going to see if they can try and put some pressure on the far end of Drum, but Shaiko, he actually gets caught out on the swing against Virtue here. One more, but there's Renchi. Pops in from the nearby window and looks for a second. Cannot quite get it locked in. The shield still stands. Efak, he's trying to get a rotation around. Bride still on the big long wall outside, and well, it's not locked, and he's going to see if he can try and at least pop one of these off. The Citizen gets popped off, but so does Doki. Again, yes, very quick responses coming from the guns of G2. If you wanted to know if they're communicating, they're proving it right now. This is a much sharper approach, and yeah, they're on the bastion of defense here at this point, but suddenly they're in a 3 versus 1. 2 impact and a C4 still in pocket, and Bride has a lot to do.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. We've talked about Bride. He's back to his best, of course. We've mentioned this before, but even this is a tricky challenge for him. 30 seconds to go. Everyone from G2 happy enough just to sit back and relax for the meantime. As long as they can establish just the crossfires, there's a long angle being held from Dragon onto the breach also. Just G2, just don't give any picks away, and Bride should fall like anyone else in this position.
15 seconds to go.
There he does. Taken out on the side of the wall. G2, a bit of a stretch. And a little bit more of a stretch, I think, in that round. They found themselves a bit more confident. Something, as you pointed out in the first, G2 tried that on their attacks, where they threw everything in. And then sort of...
I mean, G2, the main attacks, it wasn't the utility clear. I think G2, for the most part, a lot of their attacks, the way they set up within the first half was great. It was the execute that was just non-existent. BDS, I think, are struggling to even find a foothold. I think just BDS, for the past 2 attacks that we've seen, there just hasn't been any real clear indication of what they're trying to attack. Two different spectrums, and both struggling on the attacks. One cannot finish, one can't even get started.
BDS. Hey, it's me again. Just letting you know, 1 round. Still you need, and you've taken the time out to, I guess, have a conversation. See if you can maybe try and connect the dots on just a single round. You don't need to win the game. They know that, we know that. but it's actually probably worse that they know that. It's always that situation when you're this close to the end, the precipice, and you're on a half that starts to struggle. You just need to try and find that confidence to go, look, we know what we need. It's 0-0. Let's just try and get that one goal, one last score.
And even just getting that one round, it can be more of a mental block than anything, because you think, oh, it's easy, one round, surely.
It's easy.
But until you get it done, it's not easy.
Virtue. Tucked up here, around the top of Black. He's sort of popping his head up and down. You can see Shaiko, he's prepped. Maybe have a look inside Dragon window, cut off the back line, or maybe the rotation. But otherwise, they've already been forced out. You can see the presence.
Clear.
Yeah, exactly. Around bar, around the sort of exhibition side, just steadily and quickly being knocked aside. They're going to find here their first fight. Citizen tucked around the top of Drum, and might start hearing the banging of somebody else's.
BDS being able to gain control of Dragon and Drum. Well, not Drum as of yet, but certainly Dragon control is in their favor. G2 very reserved in how they want to approach this. As long as that castle barricade is up for Citizen, he just has to look that one direction. Speaking of castle barricade, it is gone now. Just having that castle, it gives Citizen not so much of a protection because he has the shield. It's just a sound warning. If that's getting opened up, you know somebody's going to come to your doorway. You know somebody's going that way because you don't open that up for no reason.
And behind that, they also have the Wamai disc and the Wamai playing it itself, and they have the Aruni gates. They've done everything to sort of make this a bit of a scarper, so it might come down to Shaiko. Look at his position and the confidence potentially to go for a swing on the player. He's waiting for the drone, and it's Virtue that's just drifting around Black Stairs. He's got himself obviously the angle with the shield itself, but look at that. The hot drone is still steadily under the feet and the guns. They've pulled themselves a bit back, but look, G2. They push back forward, exactly. They're waiting this out. They actually reinforce gold. Get it relocked.
BDS has struggled with finding anything on the board for the past 2 rounds, and I think G2 have acknowledged that. They're giving BDS nothing the same way that we've talked about G2. You know, they were struggling because BDS gave them nothing. Equally, G2, they're not giving BDS the scraps. They're not giving them an inkling into the map, into the round whatsoever. Shaiko will find Blur, but keep in mind there is still going to be more players upstairs he has to deal with. The shield is going to be cleared out, so he knows he has that backstairs control now. One person is going to be inside a goal. They just seen the football helmet, but Doki swings at the perfect time. A second from Doki. Alamau finds another G2. A great round. A 1v4 once again for Bride. Poor old Bride hasn't had the best of luck being stuck in these positions.
I mean, he must be a little bit like, come on guys, but in French, because at this point he keeps finding himself where everybody is blunked and you've mussed it. There it is, at least one on the way out the door. He slipped by some of the vertical hole, but he's got 8 seconds, and you won't see any of it there. Doki somehow taking the kill onto Black, which shouldn't have been his, and then swinging to get the second on the back of it. I think, if anything, capitalizes what you've been saying about BDS's approaches here.
Oh, I feel ill. I hate this because it's 5-4, and I'm going to be sitting here thinking, oh yes, I just have a feeling it's going to be 6-5 G2 and then BDS win. That's it, all that work, and then poof, it's gone. Honestly, that's how I feel. I just oh.
Better than a 7-0.
I hate this.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Right. Okay. So that's 3 defenses in a row done for G2. BDS did the same. BDS did the same.
Yep.
The only site that G2 was able to win was that barbecue and kitchen on the attack. BDS, I feel as if that kitchen barbecue is probably quote-unquote their best chance, but not really. Yeah. They struggled massively with getting anything on this bomb site. They couldn't even deal with Alamau, a simple shield set. They couldn't even deal with that. You looked over towards Office, again, similar situation. Couldn't even deal with the players in a simple shield. BDS, the past 3 rounds have not been good. It's the same way, you know, we can sit there and criticize G2, and everyone loves hating G2. Everyone loves criticizing G2.
Yeah, they do.
BDS, the team that we have said have been so top tier, have been incredible. They're back. Those are not good rounds from BDS, and they need a bit of surgery here. They need a bit of reactiveness because G2 can start building the momentum, and they can run away with this.
This could be a potential moment. We've seen BDS have good responses to when things are going slightly away from them in terms of sort of rejigging just a single player and play and seeing if they can drive against it. As you highlighted, the last fight that took everything out of their sails, including and especially the wind and the player's blood, was around the top of Black Stairs, was that shield Alamau that just locked down here. So instead, maybe some pressure on the opposite side. Go for a little bit of a flat take instead. Exhibition might be the first point of ingress here. They can see a bit of a loose player, not too far away from the VIP stairs, but they're happy to sort of drift up and down for now and once again see if they can band it against Bride.
Oh, they're putting the utility this time to try and deny the nades being tossed in to eliminate the bandit charge, but he misses the bandit charge nonetheless. Renshi, he does a lot of damage to Virtue, but that's not what he was after. He was after the bandit charge. Oh dear. Oh dear, BDS.
I think Virtue expected that as well. I think even he was a little bit surprised, being like, surely I'm safe here. Suddenly not. And Shaiko, he's got a ping and the watch out. Are you going to take a fight? Yes! Is the response. And if we said...
Shaiko's been Shaiko'd!
I mean, if they didn't have confidence before, it is here.
What's
all
going
over
on?
the board. Virtue with his second. Cut the man in half as he went for the approach. I said he fucking Shaiko were neck and neck racing before, and now they're neck and neck knocked off the board by the Aussie down under. Two players slip by. Lems can't quite get the connection with the big DMR, so instead is going to try and make it with anyone that might be in Drami. Can't quite get the fight over the top. Citizen is able to get one more for G2 here. They are driving themselves back into this game. Playday at the minute in comms is saying, Renshiro, please just stay alive.
I can't believe it. The bandit charge, it all came from a bandit charge, for goodness sake. That's what it came from. Like, you know...
Blur's a hell of a bandit player.
The table's getting flipped. The table's getting flipped.
Renshi, he's doing currently just a bit of a hold. He's waiting to see if somebody leans into him. But it's not a game G2 are just going to hand themselves over, head over foot into firing line. So
G2,
instead,
play safe.
that's it. And that's the voices you're hoping and assuming are being passed amongst the comms here. They've got the foot up, and they've got it with aplomb. Very talented bite back into the approach. Less than 30 seconds, and they've at least got themselves close together here. The two remaining players of BDS. A spray through does some scratch damage to Doki, who's just going to sort of grit his teeth and bear it and wait for the fight. The Citizen's able to find one. Renshiro takes out the site and at least prevents a flawless with 10 seconds. A cold kit and players all over the site. That's all they get. G2, 5 in a row. Hey, this is my demo check-in. How's demo? Thanks, demo.
I just...
So when you were called back
envy.
to cast, and actually obviously stepping in wonderfully here in lieu of Hap, he said, what game do you want to do? This was the one that you wanted to do. Do you still feel that way?
Yep.
All right.
100%.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
It's like
as many bombs
it's an
as they can.
addiction to pain.
This is just... You can't make it up.
Wait.
You cannot make this game up. Honestly, it's... If, in terms of... The Siege has not been the greatest tonight. It has not been good for this game. I think the attacks have really lacked.
Say it
right?
all. Say it all. Let
But
it
in
out.
terms of emotional damage...
do you know
This game tops the lot. I don't think I've ever seen a game that has more emotional damage than this one.
Do you know what I love? How many times in EUL have we gone, oh, it's the G2
Never.
BDS?
Stop
Showdown.
counting out G2. Just stop it. You should have learned. You all should have learned. Why did no one learn from last season? Why? Why did no one learn?
Locate and defuse
Why?
bombs.
Oh, because sure, it might be 2%, but it's G2. They can still do
It's
it.
the G2 and BDS derby.
Honestly, I
the
can't-
showdown.
And some fun if BDS don't even take a point. Some fun then they're up for perhaps
Do you know
not
how-
making it. Oh my goodness.
How many teams that would put in the mix?
This was supposed to be an easy day. We were supposed to get, what, 3 out of 4 of our teams qualified tonight?
Yeah.
No.
G2, they would be on,
Oh dear.
I believe, 12 points.
By the way, this is for the SI G2 fans.
This is for the SI G2 fans. Never forget that. Doki sure hasn't, as he's able to get the earlier off evac if you missed it. Shaiko at least gets one back.
one.
It's the first time that we've seen BDS actually responds to those early picks. The spray around the corner, hoping Virtue had already popped his head up, but they're still playing a bit cautious. Has the extension of Blur behind him in case the pressure comes onto Dragon Window. They've got a support structure.
It's still a really good pick. You think about something that BDS has struggled with, and that is the deployable shields. You've just taken away 2 nades.
Yep.
That's massive. Sure, you still have Shaiko's nades that you can use, but then he can't use them elsewhere. He can't go glow. He can't use them to try and find picks. So now you're stuck in a position where BDS, they really have to pick their poison and really have to figure out what they want to do. And that has been the thing that they've struggled with the most, is actually figuring out what approach do we want to go for with our attacks.
They're trying to find the loose player here underneath, and Alamau, he's playing on a bit of a tightrope and is instead going to hop over the other side of the shield and try and get some safety elsewhere. They assumed he went the other way. And that's it. Both nades gone on
the shields.
A sort of whim and a hope. Playday should be able to get this wall open. Citizen's going to rotate his way back round and see if he can strike early out the window as Virtue still holding on to the other window, but you're looking at 1:10 left to fight down the corridor. And Alamau pushed aggro, got one, might be about to suffer on the other end of T. They can see that they're sort of popping their way in. They're looking for the 2 versus 1. Alamau's playing a tight space. The time is steadily ticking away. Cannot quite find it against the Lems other than a bite out of the health.
Just that little bit of initiative from G2, and that's where Alamau's so good. I mentioned him on the attack where he can just see the space and go for it. He's seen the space in the defense. He gets a kill. He gets Shaiko. The main pushing force from BDS has been neutralized. They've lost Defiant. They've lost Shaiko. And now it's up to the backroom staff. It's up to the supports to try and make something happen.
Well, there's one gone. Wrenchy's off the board. Virtue was able to get another connection. He has been absolutely monumental. Blur hits the deck on the far side, but now it's a Lems. A 2 versus 1, and it's nothing he will see once again. G2 push around. They suddenly find themselves from 5-1 down to 6-5 up. All of them in a row.
Montreal! Woohoo! We're there, as if it's going to happen anyway. But now, right. So this is where I didn't want to make a bet.
Yeah.
Do you understand why?
Remember.
Do you understand why?
I remember.
This is why. Because there's just something that it's the delusion speaking. I mean, call me delusional now. Call me delusional.
Attackers need to
Look at me now. You giddy?
There's the reminder. Even if they win this, G2, they're still on a 2%, but it's a chance. It's half the percent that they had before, but it's a chance. BDS, if they lose this now on this round, it's still 91% based on the failings of the other top 4 teams that we've had throughout tonight. However, it does make things very delicious for Wolves.
Right.
Yeah.
G2 were in this exact same position that BDS are in, where they lost 5 attacks in a row.
Yep.
And it was the kitchen barbecue the second time around that we seen G2 have a breakthrough.
Yes.
This is where now I worry for G2 because they've done all this work and I just feel it's going to be 6-6 and it's over. This is what I said. Did I not say this at 5-1?
say this.
I said something like this is on the card, and it certainly is a possibility.
How do you live with your gift of foresight?
I just... It's a curse. I mean, I haven't won the lottery, so it mustn't be that good.
Doki's taking a risk here. He's sort of stepping up and seeing if he can get an early strike. If he gets droned out, this could be a massive blow. Obviously, the sort of entry statistic has always been on their favor. It's Shaiko that might be rappelling his way up here. He'll see and hear that. He'll wait. He's watching. There's the drone caught out. There's the reveal of the player, and he's going to pull off. Shaiko isn't going to risk that entirely.
BDS.
Drop the bomb diffuser.
Can you actually show us an attack on Skyscraper? Because keep in mind, for a team that, again, we still expect to see them going into the major, even with a full loss, 91%, all they have to do is then basically win next week, and that's them sorted. Right?
Yep.
And you still expect to see that, of course, from BDS. And for BDS, if we're expecting to see them on a major, they're exposing some blatant weaknesses in their Skyscraper. And, you know, BDS, they should be looking to put in as much effort as they can to make them a real dominating threat going into other competitions. Lems, where are you headed?
Well, that's it. They're going for a little bit more of a direct push right now. Instead of trying to battle over the top floor for 2 minutes, they're thinking at the 2-minute mark, take the bottom, take where the site is itself. Virtue tucked in some smoke, just almost caught out there, but pops his way back round to the sushi bar to serve up a little bit of trouble for this. The rest of the approach, BDS, they've lost the body. They're still trying to circle and find their route through. Same
thing again for BDS. I just don't know what their idea is with the attack. Where are they going? What is their objective? I'm not seeing Geisha being taken. I'm just seeing 5 players looking for kills. That is the whole attack right now for BDS. And again, G2, like we've banged on about it for so long, they're so good at just giving nothing away. They will sit in their positions, they will play these crossfires, and they will just suffocate BDS.
They're trying to force the fight through onto the site. Renshiro, he's going for a bit of a hop-in on the window and finds Alamau from the back of it. He's now inside the site with the kit. Doki is still above. He's being watched. They've sort of cleared a pocket of space here, holding the angle onto Geisha. There's another one that falls. Shaiko brings the body balance back into the favor of BDS since what feels like the first half of this game. Renchiro's going to see if he can stick the plant at this point, and G2, they can't quite find the angle on the fight back through. They can't quite find anybody. BDS, they're actually going to find the first plant of anyone this whole game. Playday gets one more. A 2 versus 4 for all of the hopes and dreams of getting their way into the major here. It's a low chance. but 2% and 2 players. Doki and Citizen, a dream team pairing, are looking to see if they can make one more dream. EFAC has a different idea, suddenly just down to Citizen. He's on the top floor, he's trying to find a fight. They know exactly where he is. They have everybody else watching the site itself. BDS, congratulations. They get themselves to OT. Most importantly, they cement themselves going to the major.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. Just all that, and then they're done.
What are the lottery
BDS aren't done. Well done, BDS. Well done. G2's done.
What are the lottery numbers, out of curiosity? Just tell me, actually. Don't tell everybody.
Look, BDS, still, yes, well done. You've qualified for the major. You've done a lot of the heavy lifting during the early work, but today has not been a good showing for BDS. It also, of course, has not been a good showing for G2. I think both teams in the attacks just been a big old struggle.
Yeah, it was something that Fresh sort of said on the desk, was like, Skyscraper, it's a preference map for both these teams. I disagree after watching this game. I think there's other preferences. It's been rocky, and it's the worry because, as you said, BDS should be taking this game based on not only the statistics, but the performances they've been putting together. However, at the same time, G2 should have been performing better in the first half.
I feel like it's been a trade deal that's just happened. We'll give you SI if you give us major. That's what it feels like.
It's friendship. Not between these two teams. We're in OT. Hey, we're in OT. G2, they're starting on their defense, and, well, if statistics are to be believed, they are going to win this game in OT at this point.
Play for a bit of pride.
Play for the win. Play for it. Always try and give it. It's been up and down for them throughout this, and they want to see if they can just try and cement a little bit more in. BDS, have you learned any lessons? You've won an attack. Can you try and win a second?
Yeah. I want to see them actually get a successful attack on one of the main staple bomb sites. The only attacks that we've seen happen has been 2 of them, and they're both on the Kitchen Barbecue, which is the tertiary bomb site. We haven't seen any on the 2 primaries.
No, not at all. It's felt a little bit lackluster, and it's not even that the defenses have been phenomenal. They've been good, don't get me wrong. They've been well put together. There's been good play from the defenders, but seemingly only confidence from when they're on that half. We need a little bit more of that from these 2 teams that we know they can deliver on the attack, and it might start here. Bit of a change of pace. Instead of trying to sort of find a long fight elsewhere, the force of the player there, the combination of the Flores drone, the Candelas over the top, and the grenade round on the back with the flash, they're going to see if they can try and get anybody, but G2 just sort of peels away.
Nobody following up with that great execute of the Ying and actually forcing that player out with the Flores, which, bit of a shame there from BDS. That's a minute gone already. They've basically just fired in a bit of early utility and then just left. That was it. It was. That's all they've done.
They're warning shots and warning drones.
Now they're shifting over towards the other side of the map, and again, similar story for BDS. I don't really know what the ideology is on Skyscraper in these attacks.
I do like this though. Blur is sort of trying to find pockets of space.
He was looking for the bandit trick there.
Yeah, he was looking for a fight that wasn't so predictable. He's pulled himself back in, but you know, the fact that they can rotate so freely around stuff that was already long since destroyed. BDS, they sort of picked up sticks on plan A, have moved off towards plan B. They've got the drive over drum, and all of them are still alive. And last time, comparatively, 3 of them were already dead. So it's a big bit of growth here. The Flores drone just going to slip its way through, and Citizen hoping he's gone a bit undetected here as that passes on one side. EFAC definitely detected at least a single player, the role of the Candelas, and we're about to see potentially a blind through onto the site.
Great work there from Rotero Drone. I honestly thought Citizen was maybe just say, I'll tank this up, but we know that was never going to work. And BDS do have a bit of a foothold. They've been able to take it slow, and they had their approach towards Drum. And also, I love this slip in towards Geisha. Remember I mentioned about G2 and their attacks, they didn't have any Geisha pressure, and you need that. You need another avenue off approach. And G2 now in the 2 versus 4 Virtue and Alamau, they basically ignored Alamau. He was the biggest issue for them whenever we see them attack this side of the map. And well, if you just stay away from him, he's not going to be an issue, and Shaiko deals with him very swiftly. And Virtue all by himself, Shaiko finds another. BDS, finally, we're seeing a dominant attack for a change.
That is the attack that we're talking about when we say this is what we wanted to see. The whole game from both these teams, how well put together that was. It was the responses that we used to from BDS, whereas you said the problem was the lack of Geisha, and the problem was that hold at the top of Black Stairs across the 2 previous rounds that we saw this. The pace at drawing attention towards Geisha, getting that work done, quickly shifting, supporting the players onto Drum to force that way through. As I said, I love to see BDS play Flores because they know how to utilize him. And then from that point onwards, suddenly G2, it's not only that they don't really have too many safe places, they have a lot less, but they also didn't seem to have the keenest idea where BDS were, which on the previous rounds was just a bit of a lock-in for them. 7-6.
Yes, 7-6 BDS. I mean, again, this is where it's quite sad because it's kind of taking the steam out of the cast. Because it doesn't.
Still having fun?
I'm still having fun, but you know, it's just,
wow.
It's not the same now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just feel a bit deflated. G2, do we feel deflated?
Welcome.
I don't know. BDS fans,
I mean,
are we happy?
The thing about... I think this is the thing that makes things a little bit... It feels a little bit more bitter for G2 fans is how well they did against all odds previously.
Yeah.
But as we learn from such films as Rocky or Mighty Ducks, the underdogs can't always win.
The thing is now with G2 is they're just playing for their own sake now and just find something to be proud of during the season. I think they, you know, still, if you look at the year for G2, it's still been a good year.
Oh,
it really has. It's been a good year for G2. Back-to-back majors, quarterfinal finishes in both of them. You can't turn your nose up at that.
A fun statistic, for the last time that these two teams met, 8 of the players were the same. The 2 changes, obviously, one for BDS and one for G2. Both of those players were, in the previous 2 meetings this year, the lowest rated players. Here, EFAC, highest, or pretty much the highest rated player, potentially, depending on how things get split between him and Shaiko and how much they've contributed. Either way, that is potentially one of those slight difference makers here. Blur's been able to sort of get his teeth in, especially with some big players on defense. There's one on offense, though. Alamau takes care of Alems, gets the lead in, and suddenly in OT, we might see a bit of a swing around as to who can have success.
G2 love that window, don't they, on Terrace? Just it helps them out create that cut-off point. It doesn't allow BDS to have the same flexibility of movement that they probably would want to have. And again, G2, back in the attack. It's been a while since we've seen them on the attacking rounds, and we'll try and establish that early control in towards Drum and in towards Dragon, and EFAC is down. That's a great pick to get. G2 just looking to hit it quick, and the refrags do come in, but it's still going to be a positive trade for G2. Shaiko now has to go for the swing. 16 kills. Can he add any more to the total? No, he can't. Talamau is there, and we go 7-7.
Hey, remember when we were saying the attacks that we wanted to see from the teams?
All of a sudden,
I guess the delay was 12 rounds.
Honestly.
I mean, that's it, and that's 2 sides. Both teams know how to play this game, and whether it was the pressure of everything, because everything's set in stone now. Nothing else will change for these 2 teams in terms of the major. One of them is gone, one of them's locked in, regardless of how this next round goes. If this is how these 2 teams have played in that pressure-free environment, it's what we want to see from them all the time. It takes time. It's always worth remembering both these teams have had recent roster changes coming into this scenario that they're still trying to get their teeth around. It's still a sort of build-in towards SI that if that's what they can work on,
Yeah.
that's what they got to work on.
Anywho,
7-7.
7-7. We go back over towards Karaoke and T-Room again. Both times it's being defended now in the previous rounds has been won by the attack, surprisingly. We wouldn't have said that a few rounds ago.
No.
Here we are.
I mean, I think that's it. The fact that the shift has happened this late in the water as well, it's sort of your excitement changing pace is obviously the same.
Alone.
No,
I'm in morning.
You're in morning. Yeah, you'll be in morning until SI. Although you think Cyclops is going to win it.
I mean, I've got Cyclops to look forward to.
Yeah, you got
FaZe Clan there. Don't forget, I'm not just a one-man team.
No, you're a 3-man team.
I don't know what this whole bias is.
You flirt your way around all the regions.
I enjoy many teams.
Hey, look, Blackbeard.
I'm a good fan. So old Blackbeard has EMP grenades. People forget this. We also received them in the last patch that we've seen, the update that came in before the season started. But other than that, still, he's Blackbeard. He doesn't do much.
Yeah, I mean, it's EFAC. He struggled.
He's just too slow.
In terms of coming onto the attack, most of his killing has been done on the defense, on that sort of drive there through, so he's the one that's sort of trying to change things up a little.
Look at the kill gap between BDS. You've got Renchi on 5, Brady on 6, Alems on 7, and then the other 2 30 kills between them.
30 kills between them is an insane statistic. It's even worse if they lose the game at this point.
Just, yeah, I mean, this is just the firepower that BDS have.
And that's the scariness that we want to send to the rest of the world. Obviously, it is that sort of send-up, and this was the excitement that we had around this new BDS roster. There's some pressure that's cooking all the way around the G2 hold here. Once again, this is the thing that I quite liked about BDS before, is they sort of started pressure elsewhere and then sort of pulled it away, moved it around, made G2 a bit more curious as to where people are. And that's what Alems is hoping to sort of punish here, holding on the swing round. Ooh, there's the side of Aruni's head, but didn't quite able to shoot the flower out of her hair.
Nope, just missed that one. And BDS have to sit and wait. But again, G2 happy enough themselves to sit and wait. You need somebody now from BDS. If you know that G2 are not going to be moving, if you know if G2 are not going to be swinging, you need somebody to look to make a play. And it looks as if they tried to do that. And somehow Renchi's been stabbed. Blur has been able to get the first pick. And that has really slowed down just everything BDS have went for. Same issues again for BDS. We thought that they were doing well with that attack that they had in the first OT round, but no, back to same old, same old.
I mean, I love seeing that Blur's obviously got a huge amount of confidence here on the defense. It's a player who's been able to keep biting against it. Oh, look at that, Shaiko. He's able to suddenly find 2 kills across the front. Doki is the 3rd off the board for EFAC because he doesn't want to lose the momentum. Unfortunately, EFAC, you're not going to get more than him throughout this game, and well, they'll at least be able to get a point more. Alamau, he started off the defenses in this exact position with this exact shield. But it's a very different face of the game here. Breday's going to see if he can stick it. And a Blackbeard sticks the last. BDS! They get the last kill, the last round. Maybe it should have been 3. Either way, the result is the same. They are going to the major.
Just another weird attack for BDS. Just there was nothing going on. LMs dies, and then Shaiko. Hey, man. 18 kills for Shaiko. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.